Hello everyone, Chaos here, and welcome to another old-school RuneScape video. At this point, I'm sure most players are familiar with this game's newest raid, the Tombs of Amascut. By completing its many challenges, either solo or in a group, you can come out with quite literally a piece of scarred poop, all the way up to the most expensive item in the entire game as of the time of making this video, the Tumeken's Shadow. With the potential of turning people into billionaires in a matter of minutes, it's safe to say that this activity is pretty attractive. During one of my 24-hour streams, someone had the idea to do a donation incentive for me to grind raids 3 in a fire maxscape, and after a certain tier of the goal was met, I ended up committing to 2 weeks of the Tombs of Amascut. Now, why the fire maxscape? Well, that's a story for another video. Today, I will show you what I got out of the whole adventure, which hopefully inspires you to grind some raids 3 yourself. This will most likely be my last video related to the Tombs of Amascut. And the reason for that is because, even though I personally enjoyed the raid quite a bit, I think I've made enough videos on it. If you enjoyed watching, make sure to subscribe with notifications on, as I will still stream this from time to time. As a final note before we start this adventure, after this, the entire video will be unscripted except for a few important highlights, as I took inspiration from Mr. No Sleep and his style of video making. Ladies and gentlemen, will we get a shadow? Will we get a pet? Only time can tell. So, let's begin. Now, of course, before the entire adventure, I need the most important item for which we are going to do this challenge with, a fire cape. Now, just as a little tip, you only really need 3 fire capes in your entire career if you're not hunting for the pets, and that is because you need 1 for personal use, 1 for a stash unit, and finally 1 to sacrifice to the Inferno. Here I am wasting 2.2 mil in a maxscape, and of course using it with the fire maxscape, aka the cheesecape, and right away, only a few seconds later, well, guess what? I was already getting griefed, and yeah, it doesn't look like this is going to go according to plan, or quite the opposite. The first raid, and I guess I will explain how this video is going to work. First of all, if you would like to leave some feedback if you enjoy this type of commentary, that would be really great. And then I am going to show you all the chests that I encountered, and the very first one, of course, contains an elite clue. Before you start raiding, of course, make sure to have your masters. I always turn my elites into masters. That is why I have 1 elite, and right now I'm showing my log. I have 1 solo shadow, which was gotten, I believe, 2 weeks before. I have 5 wards, 1 mask, 1 pair of chops, 5 rings, and of course a couple of fangs. And after getting my very first solo shadow, motivation to do this was at an all-time high. And of course, after, well, a couple of extra attempts, you will see that loot, it can be extremely volatile. I believe my lowest chest was like maybe 80k. I think off stream I looked at a chest that was like 36k, which contained toad flax seeds, and then I believe gold bars and coconut milk. It was definitely the worst I've ever seen. But from the chat, you will see that there are a couple of them that are extremely good. Some of the good items to obtain would be a Dragonstone, of course the Dragon Dart tips, and whenever I got those, the chest was above like maybe 700, 800k, and of course you can't do the Tombs of Amascut without having a couple of fails. I believe this is the first one where I started increasing the difficulty, and of course the dying to Boulder Dash was not great. Of course, as you can see, some of the runes and some of the gems are going to be nice. The drops and the items that you do not want to see are things like cactus spines, potato cactus, sapphire, emerald. Those are going to decrease your value by quite a lot. Now, of course, as you can see, dying to the monkey room is, I'm not going to say pretty common, but it has to happen at one point or another. And of course, people are preying on my downfall. Now, obviously, after that raid, there were a couple of them where I died back to back, and it's because the tilt was definitely setting in, and as you can tell, this was back to back because, well, yeah, I was griefed when I was on stream. Something important that happened, I got a yellow gem, and I believe these are weird because right now I have like 4 gems of one type, and then I have 1 gem of like the other 2 types, which is weird. I don't know how that's calculated, but I believe they have some sort of what is it, like pity mechanic or something? So yeah, that was interesting. Now, here we have the very first purple of the adventure, absolutely insane. And well, it's one that's really familiar to me because it was my second ever purple. And of course, we are going to get the beautiful Masuri chaps. Now, at the end of the stream, or if you ask for my log later, I am only missing the body, and I have 4 pairs of chaps. Now, right here I'm selling a ring that I got the night before. I was getting a little practice here and there, but that is going to increase the value up to 81 mil. I'm not going to count the ring because I got that off stream, and this is only for the things I did on stream. Now, while we get this, it is extremely important to prepare, and let me tell you to, well, let's just say, in order to not spoil too much, please make sure to have your volume lowered just a little bit. So, here we go. Oh, here comes the shadow. Here comes the shadow. That's the second shadow. That's the second shadow. That's the second shadow. Oh, my fucking god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Alright, I cut to that clip by quite a bit because this entire thing took about 5 minutes of me screaming over the fact that I got a second solo Tumeken Shadow, which sold for 1.4 billion GP. My absolute best item. And I actually got 2 of them in like a matter of 3 weeks. Now, I'm not trying to flex, obviously, but I mean, I'm just extremely happy that after those 2 drops, I'm literally only missing 1 item in order to complete the bank. But we are here to look at the chests, and in order for you to maybe get into these higher level raids, of course, you can get a purple in, 150s, 200s, 250s. If you are trying to do this, then I would highly recommend you getting used to anywhere between 400 and 440. The reason for that is because at 440, your chance at a purple is about 10 or 11% depending on your points, walk the path, any extra path invocation. And if you go into a raid knowing that it is 10%, there's a 10% chance that you're going to get a purple, it is a lot better than going for a 300 where the chances is like maybe anywhere between 4 and like 6%. I think at 350, there's a chance of like maybe 6 or 7%, which, even a single-digit percentage can be quite helpful, and it is, of course, going to give you a ton of profit. Now, what's not profit, though, is actually dying, and as you can see, this is one of the worst things that can happen if you are fighting the obelisk, and if you eat one of the attacks that deactivates your prayer, and the warden attacks almost at the same tick. That is going to be really bad if you're not full health. Now, of course, like I said before, these 2 deaths were actually back-to-back. There is a high chance that if I die in a raid, the next one I'm also going to die, because the next one I'm just doing it out of like spite, out of like anger, and that makes me play worse, so that's really not that good. There are a couple of chests you will see here that are not great, but some of them have a cache of runes. What that's going to contain will be anywhere between, or I would say, like blood, death, and soul runes. And of course, those runes are going to be needed for the profit because there goes another death. And like I said, Baba, I believe is the most common death that I had so far, which is not great. This is basically the worst one because if I'm reading chat, well, I can get distracted, and that 33% can definitely, work against me. Now, one that was actually not, by distraction was pretty much an accident. You can go ahead and rewind that. I have no idea how that wave got me, and, well, I was pretty tilted after that one. And, but after, well, that tragic Zabak death, well, here we go with another completion, and at this point, I did this one where you click on the white light or obelisk, whatever you call it, and you get to see the chest right away. However, sadly, there was no purple to be seen. Now, what I was saying on the evocations, I recommend you work up to level 400s to 440s, where your chance at a purple is going to be pretty decent, I would say. Now, we're going back a little bit on the first shadow that I got a couple of weeks ago before this challenge. That was done on a 250 right before one of my classes, and I was like, let's just play one really quick raid, and I ended up walking away with 1.4 billion GP, which was going to be useful to cover the deaths from this place, because as you can see, another Baba death right when it swaps phase, or I guess, it goes into another third of the health. It is definitely not nice. However, it's not as bad as this death. This is probably the one that hurt the most. I yellow click the melee scarab, and walking into the Kefri bomb, dude, dying at TOA is acceptable, but dying at Kefri, it just feels bad. This chest is definitely interesting, 267k, and there were a couple of people that were betting on how much my chests were going to be, and a lot of people actually got quite of them pretty close. Someone was almost going to get banned for guessing a 268k, and I believe it was that one that I mentioned, it was 267. After another Baba death, well, here we go with 200k. Going back, well, we didn't really have a great time, because my first raid back in the normal world, well, this happens sometimes. Sometimes you just have to take it, and as Brother Zabak, coming in, That was not a really good jug for me to push. Interesting. But yeah, after this, I believe things went pretty smoothly. There's only going to be one more thing that's not chest collecting in a few seconds. That's extremely funny, and I'm going to talk about it in a few chests. Here, I would say the things that you're looking for, you know what, the seeds are really weird to get. Because honestly, you can get either Toadflax, Rainer, or Snapdragon. Now, at first glance, I mean, I don't know if the plugin... There's a plugin that I personally don't use. There's a plugin that has a letter next to the seeds to tell you kind of which one it is. But since I don't have it, whenever I open a chest and there are seeds, then I am just wondering, okay, which ones are which? And then sometimes I even have to click on them because, wait, are the expensive one? Are they Snapdragons? Or are they the cheap ones, the Toadflax seeds? Now, what I mean about funny is that I will take just a few seconds to talk about this. You will see there was a riot in World 302 the day Odablock got banned for using services on apparently one of his accounts. At this point, and by the time you watch this video again, this hopefully will all have been resolved. And my general opinion, as I said in my live streams, maybe what Odablock did, if Jagex has concrete evidence of buying services, and of course, you know, said accounts should stay banned, which is, I believe, the case for one of his accounts. But the other one, if they don't have any proof of that, then of course, you know, unban him. The ban was silly, you know, going back 2 years for what he did. It was pretty weird. It was not as weird, however, as disconnecting 51 HP away from killing the final Warden in P4. This was definitely the second most disappointing moment in the entire raid after dying to Kefri, and there goes the 500k down the drain. That was almost covered by the next chest, which is a couple of dragon helmets and some food. Day number 13 treating us quite interestingly so far. And after these two chests, we are heading to the final one of the day. Now, at the very first, this challenge was only 10 days, but I decided to bump it up to 14, obviously, you know, to make it, you know, kind of like the 2 weeks of Tombs of Amascut. Here we have one of the best drops and one of the worst ones, Cactus Spines, and of course, Dragon Darts, which is going to be 500k, so that covers one of the deaths perfectly fine. And yeah, these final two, I decided to do one more chest. As you can see, I was getting pretty good at the end. I only used 1 ambrosia or even 0 ambrosia towards the final boss, which is absolutely insane. And by clicking this one, well, boys and girls, the final raid of the day is going to give us a white chest. Sadly, we didn't walk away with a pet. We only walked away with 2 purples. But we walked away with about 1.5 billion GP in only 2 weeks. Honestly, one of the best like periods of time in my RuneScape career. Like, I believe prior to this challenge, my most expensive drop was the enhanced crystal weapon seed back when it was 130, 150 mil. But after 1.4 bill GP in drops, let alone 2 of them in 1 month, safe to say, it's gonna be pretty hard to replicate that feeling. So, boys and girls, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and especially thank you very much to my channel members. You boys and girls are absolutely insane, and your support does go a long way. If you would like to become part of this list of legends, make sure to click the join button below to see all the cool perks you can get in the Discord, in the live streams, and of course, in the videos. That being said, thank you so much. I hope this video, if you made it this far, make sure to let me know if you like these types of comments. I enjoy Mr. No Sleep's videos by quite a bit, which is kind of what I try to replicate here. But please, you can go ahead and let me know. I'll see you in the next one, which will be another 1 to 99 guide, depending on where this video is going to be uploaded. I don't know what the next one is going to be, but hopefully it will be a good one. Yeah, have a wonderful week, and I will see you then. Peace.